Let's talk cycling now. Matt Keaton, our Aussies Abroad cycling expert, joins us to look back at a busy World Championships weekend and to look forward at an even busier week. Matty, let's start with the World Champs.
Yeah, the great thing about the World Championships, Jason, is it's the one time of the year in cycling where we can get tribal because they're racing normally for trade teams and it's difficult to get excited about De Koning Quickstep. They make floors and they make windows. But at the World Championships, it's nation versus nation. First up, it was individual time trials. And in the women's race, we had Grace Brown finish in 5th position, which was a fantastic result for her against expectations. And she's really on the rise and she'll be aiming to get a spot at the Tokyo Olympics for the individual time trial. She's got some stiff competition with the young Victorian, Sarah Gigante, who wasn't able to compete in the World Championships this year. But Grace will be really happy with the way she rode. In the men's race, we got 5th place as well with Rohan Dennis. But in contrast, that's a little disappointing because Rohan was the defending champion, the back-to-back winner of the title. He was beaten by a phenomenal performance by the Italian Filippo Ganna. But in fairness to Rohan, the course suited Ganna a lot more than what it did Rohan. And if there's ever a good time to finish 5th when you're one of the favourites to win, it's now. This might be the 5th place finish that he needed to add even more fuel to his fire for the Olympic Games next year. The course there will suit him more because it's longer. This course, it's shorter than what it normally is by around about 20 minutes shorter than what it normally would be for the World Championships. And that suited the Italian who won it a lot more. And Rohan showed his class afterwards when he went across the finish line. It's not like tennis. You don't have to shake hands with the opponent at the end. It's not an obligation. But he was one of the first to congratulate Filippo Ganna on his victory. So Rohan showed some real class in that regard.
And to the road races across the weekend and look, just flicking around. Every time I seemed to turn and look at the screen, they were climbing. It looked like a brutal course.
That's because they were either climbing or they were descending. There were no flat sections. The start and finish line was at the Imola racetrack, which is famous for F1 and sadly where Ayrton Senna passed away in 1994. But in the women's road race, it was really disappointing from an Australian perspective that Amanda Spratt wasn't able to start. But it was the right decision that she didn't start. She crashed out of the Giro Rosa, the women's Giro d'Italia, and she had a concussion issue and she wasn't quite ready. So they made the right call by not having her start. For the past 2 years, she's medalled. She had a bronze medal last year, a silver medal the year before. So the Australians played more of a wild card approach. They tried to get in the breakaways, but the Dutch, they simply dominated. And Anne van der Breggen, she broke away. She won solo. She won the time trial and she won the road race. She's just the second woman in history to do that. No man has ever done it. One other woman has done it, Jenny Longo. She's a French woman who did it in 1995. And now Anne van der Breggen, she did it. And the Dutch, they finished 1-2. Second place was Annemiek van Vleuten, who was involved in the same crash with Amanda Spratt just over a week before the race in the World Championships. She had a fractured wrist. She had surgery on that wrist. She raced with a plate. She raced with a brace. And she raced to a silver medal. It was phenomenal. A brilliant performance by her.
What a wonderful effort.
Oh, it was awesome. In the men's road race, Australia's hopes were resting with Michael Matthews and also Richie Porte. I think Richie still had Tour de France fatigue. And he wasn't the only one because Tadej Pogacar, the winner of the Tour, he was the same. He didn't look anywhere near as sharp as what he did 1 week ago. And that is completely understandable. And we saw Pogacar attack with 2 laps to go and he just didn't quite have the legs. Richie still rode well, but keep in mind that from Sunday when he finished 3rd at the Tour, he lost his keys. He went home and had to knock on the door to be let in. And then when he got let in, he met his new daughter for the first time. So it's been a big week for Richie. Michael Matthews rode really well. He just lost contact on the final climb. And the charismatic Frenchman, Julien Alaphilippe, he went on to win the race and he won solo with the pre-race favourite, Wout van Aert, in 2nd position. And then it was the young rising star from Switzerland, Mark Hirschi, in 3rd. And the men's road race this year was one of the best I've seen in a long, long time.
The COVID situation this year has obviously compressed the season, which is having all sorts of different effects on things and making things a lot less predictable, isn't it, Matty? For example, now off the back of the Tour, they've had the World Champs, they've literally got a day or two to recover and they're into it again.
Wednesday, Flèche Wallonne, which is a big race up in Belgium. That's normally on a Wednesday in April. Now it's on a Wednesday in September. And Julien Alaphilippe will go there as a former winner, wearing the rainbow jersey, clearly as the guy to beat. So he'll be really optimistic. There'll be a few Australians. Richie Porte is on the start list. I'll be interested to see whether he does go and he does ride. Simon Clarke is another one of the Australians on the start list. It is a course that suits Simon Clarke. It's a 200-kilometre race, so not quite as long as the World Championships, but I'm finding it difficult to look past the world champion, whose new nickname is Julien Alaphilippe, because Alaphilippe, he rode with panache, a word that the French love to use to describe that charm in which he races with. He was crying across the finish line. He was crying on the podium. It was a beautiful moment to see him win. And I think that he'll represent cycling really, really well.
Could be Julien Alaphilippe.
Yeah, it could very well be.
You can use that one, Matty. You can use that one. That's yours. That's my gift to you.
Awesome.
Now, with the Flesh on Wednesday, is there a chance that this might be an opportunity for someone who normally isn't in the mix to take a big race like this to say, well, there's some fatigue after the World Champs. The Giro d'Italia, which we'll get to in a moment, starts next weekend. This might be my one and only opportunity to bob up and do something special and pitch one while everyone else is looking elsewhere.
Yes, if Julien Alaphilippe tests positive to COVID within the next 24 hours. Because
so you're saying there's a chance then?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're saying there's a chance. So he rides for a Belgium team. This is in Belgium. He's just been crowned as the world champion. This is a race that he's won in the past, and it suits him perfectly. He will be really hard to beat. In betting terms, he is the short price favourite.
And let's look forward to the Giro d'Italia, another one of the great races of the world, and it starts this weekend.
Yeah, and I think we'll have somewhere in the vicinity of a dozen Australians on the start line. And across at Mitchelton Scott, there were no Australians riding for them at the Tour de France. But at the Giro d'Italia, they have 5 out of the 8 riders on the start list being Aussies. Significantly, one of them is Jack Haig, who's leaving the team at the end of the year. But he's a rider that I believe can go top 10 in that race overall. In the future, he can do what we saw Richie Porte do at the Tour de France this year. I think he can make it into the top 3 of one of these big 3-week races. So we'll watch him really closely. And across a few of the other teams as well, we've got a guy like Rob Power with the Sunweb team. He's a really promising rider that can go hunting for a stage victory perhaps. Adam Hansen riding for the Lotto Soudal team, who is Mr. Indestructible. He'll be looking for an opportunity perhaps to get in a breakaway and try and pick up a stage victory. There's a lot to look forward to for the Aussies at the Giro d'Italia. Another rider to think of, has just come to my mind, is Chris Harper, a young South Australian. He rides for the Jumbo-Visma team, which is the team that had the yellow jersey for so long at the Tour de France and ended up second with Primoz Roglic. He's making his first appearance at a big 3-week race. They have a Dutchman who's capable of winning the Giro d'Italia, Steven Kruijswijk. He's been close in the past. Chris Harper is a brilliant climber, so I expect to see a lot of him towards the front doing super domestic duties. This will be a real baptism of fire, but we'll get to see his true colours, and I've got high expectations of him.
Matty, now the other side effect of all of this is your sleep patterns. What are you doing?
What sleep patterns? I don't have a pattern. I have an arrhythmia. It's like I've got tachycardia of the sleep pattern. It's all over the place. What day is it again, Jason?
Well, it depends whereabouts in the world we are. You're heading off to, let's see, Belgium on Wednesday virtually, and then you're in Italy on the weekend. So good luck working all of that out.
Yeah, so it's 5 p.m. in the afternoon in Melbourne, and I'm about to have lunch.
Yeah, exactly right. Good luck, mate. Thanks for your time as always. Looking forward to catching up with you next week. We'll look back at the Flesh and we'll take a look at the Giro as well.
Thanks, Jason.